going on, everybody? It's your boy Wes, and we are back with another video going over the day 2 picks of the NFL draft for the Patriots. We got some good ones, got some very high quality offensive players. Well, the first 2 days were all offensive players. We ain't pick a defensive player until the 4th round. So got a lot of offensive players. Got Drake May some help. So we're gonna go over the pick, give my opinions on the pick, and we're just gonna see. I would show highlights, but they like to block a lot of things. Maybe if I don't show NFL highlights, we will be good, but we'll decide that on another day. But for right now, we're gonna get into these day 2 picks. But as I always say in every video, if you like the content that you're bringing out, I'm not no draft expert by any means, but I do love me some Patriots. So that's what we're going to talk about. So if you like the video, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. But without further ado, let's get into the video right about now. So first, we have Travion Henderson, running back from Ohio State. Which for me, I feel like this is a knock it out of the park type of pick. I always thought and think about the Patriots. I know a lot of people was like, we should have went wide receiver. Luther Burton's was on the board, and I'm like, you know what? Completely understandable. But for me, we just need offensive talent. We need talent at every level of the freaking game. And for me, I like it right here. Travion Henderson, I like it. Him and Quinshon Judkins went 2 picks apart, and I always preferred Henderson over Judkins, so that's cool. There were some reports that there was a debate from Elliott Wolf. There was a debate on 2 players that they was thinking about for this pick right here. One got picked. Some people say it was the offensive guard from Arizona. Some might say it was Jalen Higgins. Some might say it was Judkins. But whoever it was, they got picked. So the other person they were selling on was Quinshon Judkins, which I am 110% okay with. He brings fast ability, playmaking ability to the Patriots offense, into a running back room. Outside of a few plays from Antonio Gibson, didn't have a lot of explosiveness to it. He's a 4'4", 40 guy, very athletic. He was graded the most athletic running back at the combine, so that's good. That's something good to hear. His comparison was Aaron Jones, which is that the greatest comparison in the world? Not really. But that's still a very good NFL running back. And, kind of for some of his weaknesses, undersized. He's fast, but primarily a 1-speed runner. Average vision. Catches too much contact through the line of scrimmage, But those are all things that can be, improved upon. And putting him in the backfield, now we have a true Josh McDaniels running back by committee. We have Ramondre, who's going to be the workhorse back. We have Quinshon Judkins, that's kind of like that change of pace receiving back, James White role. And then we have Antonio Gibson, who can do both very well. I think he was a former wide receiver, so he's going to give you that pass catching ability, and he's good enough to run in between the tackles. Not saying Travion Henderson can't run between the tackles, but I feel like he's going to be more beneficial in the pass game than he will be in the run game early on. And I think Antonio Gibson, his contract expires after this season. I don't even think there's a guarantee that Antonio Gibson is even on the roster come the regular season, because Travion Henderson is basically Antonio Gibson, but faster. So there's no guarantees that Antonio Gibson makes the roster. But if he does, that is a solid 3 running back backfield that Josh McDaniels strives in. Even when we had Stephen Wrigley, Shane Vereen, Danny Woodhead, Rex Burkhead, Brandon Bolden, Garrett Blunt, James White. There was another guy in there, Dion Lewis. Then we get later a few years ago, Sonny Michel. Then you had Damian Harris. Then we ended up getting with the Ramondre. You know, we have always had a complement or a plethora of running backs on the roster. And I know Josh McDaniels, he used to carry like 3 to 4 running backs during the Brady time. So, and if you even want to go a little bit further than that, Kevin Falk and stuff like that, just go a little bit further back. So we've always had running backs that have multiple skill sets. Like I said, Ramondre is primarily going to be that in between the tackles, power back. Travion Henderson is going to be that gadget running back like James White, where he can run the ball. He can still run the ball in between the tackles, run the ball outside, but he can line up in multiple positions and be a mismatch for a lot of things that are going on. And then we got Antonio Gibson, who is basically a jack of all trades. He can do power running. He can do outside zone, inside zone, power run, wide receiver. He can do it all. So you got 3 running backs on the roster right now that complement each other. So that was our second pick in the 6th round. And I know a lot of people say, why don't we take Luther Burtons and stuff like that? Me personally, I just feel like we have a lot of Luther Burtons on the team. And if I can go back a little bit, Luther Burtons, I feel like we have a lot of Luther Burtons on the team. Are they as fast as Luther Burtons? Absolutely not. They're not as fast as Luther Burtons, but I feel like for what Luther Burton will bring to the team, we already have a bunch. I feel like Luther Burton is a Z. He's a Z. But you know what? Let's not talk about Luther Burtons. Let's get into the next player, and then I'll get more into Luther Burton and how I feel about this. Now we have Kyle Williams, wide receiver out of Washington State. And I've seen a lot of Kyle Williams. So I knew who he was coming into the draft. Because, as you know, I am a Syracuse fan. And Washington State plays Syracuse. And I forgot the name of the bowl. But it was in California. So I saw Kyle Williams cook my poor Syracuse team, and when I tell you he was in there cooking, he was definitely putting a little work on them boys. So Syracuse still won, but Kyle Williams he definitely stood out in that little bowl game against Syracuse. But Kyle Williams, 5'11", 190, almost 200 pounds, 4.4 speed. And here is I'm gonna go back and do Luther Burton right here, so we can kind of compare them side by side. 4.4. He ran a 4.4 on the dot. He ran a 4.41. Not even that big of a difference. A 1.54 40. 1.55 10-yard split. I meant to say 10 yards, not 40. 10-yard split. Basically, when it comes to speed and everything, same exact player. Is the production the same? Slightly better production. Slightly better athleticism. But if you want to be honest with it, kind of slightly the same. The measurables are almost the look. Luther Burton, 8.5-inch hands. Kyle Williams, 8 3/4 hands. Kyle Williams, 190. Luther Burton's 206. Arm length, 31 1/4, 30 1/8. So they're pretty much, if we want to talk about build wise, they're pretty similar in build. Now that when it comes to it, it's like when you watch Luther Burton, I'm not saying Luther Burton is not fast. He is fast, as you can see by his 40. He's fast, but the way that he plays, it's not really like, let's say you got 40 speed and you got game speed. When you watch Luther Burton, when he can get downfield, but the way that I guess Mizzou used him was more in that intermediate to short route area, and that's where I come in and say we have a lot of players that can do that short to intermediate route range. Kyle Williams, he's down the field. He's a separator. He's down the field. He played the X. He's an X. When he's at Washington, he played the X. Can he play the Z? Can he play the slot? Absolutely. But he primarily lined up at the X position. As of right now, from what I can tell by our roster, the only X's we got are Kayshawn Boutte and Mac Hollins. Those are the only true X receivers that we have. Kyle Williams will fit right in with Mac Hollins and Kayshawn Boutte. But when you go to the Z, you have people like Stephon Diggs, Jalen Polk, Kendrick Bourne. Who else was there? You can even throw. You could possibly throw Baker at the Z. Say Baker is a Z because he played a little. Baker played both the Z and the X, but I think we saw him. We didn't really see him that much. We didn't even see him that much because like we say, it was a bad season for both the rookies, but he really didn't play a lot. But when he was kind of more at the Z. So you have Diggs, Bourne, Polk, and Baker, 4 receivers of your roster that skill sets match the Z. So adding Luther Burton's, which will be another Z, especially if you're trying to give Polk a chance to show himself and show what he can actually do on the field, you don't want to add another receiver who's a Z receiver in a Josh McDaniels offense. Now, then if you add Luther Burton's, that's 5 Z's. And now you're really not giving Jalen Polk a chance to show if he actually deserves to be on the team. Because I'm not saying that he will, but what if Jalen Polk just got dealt a bad hand and he gets better coaching in a better system and he performs better? Well, that's your Z of the future. Maybe you can move Luther Burton into the slot. But that all depends on how you feel about Pop Douglas. If you feel like Pop Douglas is a very good slot and you feel like he's your future at slot, then you don't really want to put him into the slot that often. Like I said, I know Patriots receivers, they move around and stuff. But now he's like, okay, now let's move him to the X. Luther Burton, from the highlights and the footage that I saw on Luther Burton's, is he really doesn't play that X role. He's more in that slot to Z mode. So we have a lot of slot and Z's already here. But Kyle Williams primarily lined up as an X with his separation ability and his speed. He primarily lined up at the X, which is still a big need for the Patriots. So, like I said, I understand both sides of the story. Luther Burton's, is he a better wide receiver prospect than Kyle Williams? Yes. But I feel like it just happened that Luther Burton's already plays a role that we already had so many receivers on our team already playing. But Kyle Williams will bring a fresh ability to a position that we don't have a lot of bodies at. Like, we seen Jalen Polk try to play the X on the outside. He's not that fast or have the route running ability to play outside. So you got to play him in a slot or Z role. Javon Baker, same thing. Kendrick Bourne, he did relatively decent he did some good things at the X when he played. But if you go back to Josh McDaniels' first time with Kendrick Bourne back in 2021 when he had Mac Jones, Kendrick Bourne played that Z role, and that's where he had his breakout season because Nelson Aguilar was playing the X. This is I hate to make this comparison, but this is the Nelson Aguilar. This is the Nelson Aguilar, Brandon LaFell X that we've seen in the Josh McDaniels offense. He's going to be the Brandon LaFell, Nelson Aguilar X, where he doesn't always have to be the main person getting the ball, but if you need a play down the field, it's going to be him right here. So they have him rated as a 6.2, which is a eventually become an average starter. If Kyle Williams becomes a 60 catch, 800 yard receiver, 5 TD type of guy, I'm cool with that. I'm 100% cool with that. That will be serviceable for a first year. And he's a type of player that you can move around and stuff. Let's say you decide that after Stephon Diggs gone, you want to move Kyle Williams to the slot. I mean, not to the slot, to the Z. With his ability, he can play the Z. He can play the Z. He can play the slot. He can play the X. So I'm cool with this pick. Like I said, I still like Luther Burton's, but I'm 100% okay with this pick and Travion Henderson in the second round. The final pick on day 3, which I feel like is the best pick of day 3. The final pick of day 2, which I feel like outside of not even gonna say that. I feel like this right here was the absolute best pick of the first 3 rounds for the Patriots. Jarrett Wilson. This man is not only was he the most productive and most athletic center at the combine, he was the number 1 rated pure center. And when I say pure center, I know people will talk about the guy that the Seahawks drafted, Greg Zabels, who was a tackle that they project to play guard, and at the Senior Bowl played center. Greg Zabels is a 5'2" offensive lineman. This right here is a pure center. Pure center. I know he started his career off at guard, but he really didn't play a lot at guard. Played mostly center in college. So he's a pure center. And he's also from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Shout out to big North Carolina. But back to the point. This right here, I feel like if out of anybody that we drafted in the draft outside of Will Campbell, because Will Campbell will be a day 1 starter, because that's how bad the offensive line is. Jarrett Wilson is second in my prediction of could be a day 1 starter, because we don't own a lot of money to Bradbury. So if Jarrett Wilson beats him out in the offseason, I 100% guarantee they're not gonna be like, well, let him get time to develop. After we saw what happened to Mac Jones last year, you gotta put your 5 best offensive linemen on the field day 1. Not like what Draw Mayo said when he was like, well, Drake May performed way better than Jacoby Brissett, but we're going to start Jacoby Brissett anyway. No, I don't think that's Mike Vrabel. I feel like if Jarrett Wilson outperforms Bradbury, Cole Strange, Ben Johnson in the freaking offseason, training camp, mini camp, and all that preseason, he will be the day 1 starting center. And this is my favorite pick right here because he's athletic. He's not some of these slow offensive linemen that we saw last year just get absolutely beat because as soon as the ball is snapped, they're getting ran by. This brother can move. He can get out in space and make blocks, which will open up a lot of playbooks, open up a lot more plays in the playbook for Josh McDaniels. Reach plays, outside zones and stuff. Getting linemen that can move. Look at this, y'all. a 4.8 440. He can move a 1.72 10-yard split. He can move a 20-yard shuttle of 4.56. This man can move. And this is what we need on the offensive line. Especially if Drake May has to break the pocket to go run for a first down. He is going to get downfield and will be able to catch a block. He will be able to do it. Is he kind of small at 310? Yes. But he makes up for it while being able to move and get good positioning and being strong. So, Jarrett Wilson, one of my favorite players. I feel like outside of Will Campbell. Outside of Will Campbell, I feel like he has the best chance of being a day one starter. Shoot, heck, he might even go into training camp as the number one center. That's how much I feel like. That's how much I feel how good he is as a prospect. Jarrett Wilson has a chance to be a day one center. But out of all the picks, I gotta go back and fix this because we didn't draft Luther Burtons. So but going back to the second round, but let's just look at it from this standpoint. Because they said they had two people they were thinking about, and one of them got taken, so they had to take the other guy. So it comes down to Carson Swessinger, Jaden Higgins, Nick Imamori, Quinshawn Junkins. I'm not even going to try that. The Arizona guard. That's who I'm going to call him, the Arizona guard. So out of all these players, they said there was another one where they was talking about. I don't know if they already made claims of who it was. I didn't see nothing about it, so I'm just gonna make a little projection about it. Carson Swessinger, that seems like a Mike Vrabel type guy. If it was Mike Vrabel leading the march on a player, I think it's him right here. Because he just looks like a Mike Vrabel. He looks like a Mike Vrabel type of guy. I'm telling you, he looks like a Mike Vrabel type of guy. Jaden Higgins is also somebody I could see them want. Actually, if you look at all these 5 picks right here, I could make a good case for them wanting any one of these 5 right here. But if I had to rank them, I feel like it's Swessinger. I feel like it's the Arizona guard. I feel then so Swessinger would be first. The Arizona guard would be second. Jaden Higgins will be third. Nick Imamori will be fourth. And I think Quinshawn Junkins will be fifth. Because to be honest, do you really think they was arguing over which Ohio State running back to take? Being that Mike Vrabel is from Ohio State, it could have been they was arguing about which Ohio State running back to take. But for me, I feel like it was Swessinger. Swessinger just seems like a Mike Vrabel type guy. The Arizona guard to push the agenda of building through the trenches. Jaden Higgins for we need more X receivers. Nick Imamori because he's just a freaking Greek god of a performer. And then Quinshawn Junkins. That's who I will rank if I had to decide which one of them players they was looking at they got taken. So they took the guy. So they really didn't have to debate about it. But Travion Henderson, I like him. I feel like eventually, I don't ever think he will be the workhorse back that. And I know that's insane to say. You said, well, we spent the second round pick on somebody who will never be a workhorse back. In the Josh McDaniels system, there's really never a workhorse back. It's kind of like each running back will have a certain amount of touches, and it's up to you to do what you got to do with them touches. It's never a situation where we're going to have a Saquon Barkley or a Derrick Henry type of production season unless they get it done with the limited amount of snaps that they're going to get. So I feel real confident about him. Like the pick, he will mix in well with the running back by committee. Provides a different skill set to the backfield. Kyle Williams has a if he can get to 200 pounds, I will feel more comfortable with him being a pure X in our offense. If he can get to like 200 pounds, and I feel like if he can get the Luther Burton size when it comes to weight, at least 200 pounds, I will feel more comfortable with him being our pure X. And Jarrett Wilson, I believe he has the potential to be a day one starter for the New England Patriots. So, with that being said, we're going to end it right here. As you can see at the top, I do have the other draft picks from day 3. We will go over that in another video. I don't want this video to be too long, but I want to thank everybody for watching this video. Like I said, drop your opinion down below. Who is your favorite pick on day 2? And just tell me how you feel about that player. Who do you think we should have took? If you believe in a player, or maybe you wanted to reach on somebody else, comment down below. But make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, I'm Wes. Y'all stay blessed up. Have a wonderful day. And hey, look, to me, this is the best start to a Patriot draft that I've seen in a long time. So shout out to Vrabel, Elliott Wolf, Matt Crow, Steichen, I think his name is Stretch, and Ryan Cowden, all of them. This is a good first off season for that little regime. So happy about it. Y'all stay blessed up, y'all.